Hi, I wanted to make a video about why our company exists. So there's a lot of businesses out there that you could choose to work with. There's a lot of ad agencies. There's a lot of people that promise a lot of things. There's a lot of people that when they speak to you, they'll tell you about their pricing and what they do and all of those things, right? Those are all mechanics. Those are all tactics. Those are all things that are said to win you over. So what I wanted to do is kind of like take it on a deeper, different level and actually just talk about why I started this business and why my business partner, Russell Masters, started it with me. And it really has its roots back in struggles and tough times that both of us experienced as business owners and how lonely and difficult it feels. I oftentimes talk to clients and I talk to them about, one of the things I really want you to feel is when you're staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. in the morning, that you'll have us to be able to come to at 8 a.m. to see what we can do to solve those problems that kept you up all night. And really, I remember a time when we owned our gymnastics club during, the Great Recession when the financial collapse, the real estate collapse happened. And I remember losing more than half of all of our students in 1 month and wondering how we were going to pay the rent, how we were going to pay payroll, how we were going to take care of our staff. And more importantly than anything, how embarrassing it would be if we had to close the business down because we weren't able to figure that out. We weren't able to get through that and pass through that and overcome those issues. And it was very lonely. It felt difficult. It felt claustrophobic. It felt painful. It felt scary. And what we didn't have then was back in 2009, Facebook was just starting in reality. YouTube had been in business for about 4 years, wasn't even owned by Google at that point, and was still quite small and unheard of. And a lot of the tools and the techniques and the opportunities that you have today, we didn't have back then. In fact, I would never have been thinking about watching a video about some guy talking about why his business is in business in 2009. So we started that business 10 years ago. We started this business 10 years ago. And the main driver behind it was let's bring our experiences, let's bring our successes, let's bring our knowledge base. And Russell has a very different knowledge base to mine is much more message-based, sales-based, revenue-driving based. His is much more technical, process and systems-based. And the two together kind of cover most of the gamut of what's important to most business owners. And we made a really good team on very polar opposite parts of what's important to a business. So 10 years ago, we started the business. And it was based on our struggles and our difficulties and what we wanted to make sure that our clients didn't feel themselves and felt that we could do something for them and for our clients that there just wasn't out there. There wasn't a trusted team member for me to call on when things got tough on how to get through it. There wasn't somebody who would be in the trenches with me trying to make it happen. And what I feel really good about is we launched Creatively Disruptive in 2015. 5 years later in 2020, we really got to test that. We really got to test our resolve as to what we want to be seen as and do we really care? Do we really want to be that company that is there for our clients and maybe even an industry during troubled times? And obviously 2020 was quite troubled times. I would say 90% of our businesses were closed down, some of which, in California and New York and so forth were closed down for over a year. And that was the trial, right? And as you always kind of think about when you hear about friends and people that say nice things and say that they'll be there for you, the real true test isn't when things are good. It's easy to say, I'll be there for you when things are great. The real true test is when things are tough. And I've got to say, I was very proud of the fact that we didn't lay off a single staff member. We had a segment of our business that purely served our kids' activity centers. We had another segment of our business that served e-commerce. We didn't let go of a single person. We didn't reduce their hours. What we did was, even though a lot of our clients were on hold, a lot of our clients weren't paying us, a lot of our clients couldn't pay us, we still served them. We still serve them with information. We still serve them with figuring out technical systems with how they could maybe stay connected with their audience through online classes and everything. We serve them through preparing when they might be able to open to keep connected to their community. And we did that at no charge. We even gave our course that we now charge about $500 a month for. We gave that away for whatever you can pay for it. And we did that because it was the moment that we had to prove that we were going to be there for you at 8 a.m. after you were up all night staring at the ceiling from 3 a.m. And that is really, truly why we're here. From our e-com standpoint, it's a tough business, right? It's tough, it's technical, it gets affected by technology very quickly, can be up and down. And we know how tough it is to start that and start the supply chains and making sure that the profitability and all of that is there. And we work through that to the point to this day that we aren't simply a ad generating agency. We are a revenue generating and planning company. So a company comes to us, be it a kids activity center or an e-com business or whatever kind of business, and we actually really want to understand what is it that you want and where you want to be, especially in 3 years' time, and all of the little bits and pieces that are important to actually build over that 3-year period. The business that you are today is going to be a very different business in 3 years' time if you hit the goals that you have. And we always say to our clients, we want you to reach, we want you to try to get something that maybe you haven't even thought of. Maybe you're taking your top line to the bottom line, which is a really cool thing to be able to see and do. So somebody who, like a little kids activity center that's doing $250,000 a year gross revenue, how do we, in 3 years' time, make the $250,000 the actual profit margin that they're reaching? And how do we build that out? And we actually go through a whole consultative process to get there. Same with our e-com brands that we work with. Where are you right now? Okay, you're only doing about $20,000 of revenue. Well, how do we get to the point where you're making a profit of $20,000 of revenue each month at the end of your process? So, and we work through all of that. So it's more than just Google ads, Facebook ads, email marketing, AI, text message marketing, website development, all of that stuff. All of those tools that we offer are means to an end. What we do and why we do it is to support small business owners that have a dream and they have hopes, and we turn it into reality one step at a time. And we are that person that you can call upon to actually sit down when things are good to figure out how well we can do during the good times, but also just as importantly, when things are tough, to figure out what we can do to get you through those tough times, which inevitably always end up in more good times. So that's us. That's why I started this business. That's why I have a lot of passion for it. That's why I'm very happy to always talk to any client that we have about how we can help them and how we can grow them. It's a passion that I just cannot let go of, because I just know that the power of the United States, the power of this country in reality comes from those small business owners with big dreams, with big hopes and big goals, who don't necessarily have all of the skill sets and all of the knowledge base to be able to get there. And we love the fact that hundreds and hundreds of times we've been able to do that. So if you ever want to chat with us or reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you.